which is also rare for me. Usually I'll read some of it and put it down and read it. It'll take me a day or two usually. And this one I read in one sitting. It read like a page turner, like something that you just couldn't put down. And I knew immediately that it was something I wanted to do. And luckily Destin wanted me to do it. We Skyped, and I had been unemployed for a few months, and I had been eating whatever I wanted and growing out this beard for no reason, growing my hair out. And I remember Destin popping up on my computer screen, and we kind of observed each other and had a little conversation about the, it was amazing.
It's so clear to me what those faces look like.
Yeah, and we talked about the movie, and I talked about how much I loved it, and how much I loved the short, the version that I'd watched, and I remember at one point Destin just going, "Cool beard." I was like, "Thanks." He was like, "Yeah, don't cut it." I was like, "I won't." And then, as to speak a little bit about the, building the backstory and the chemistry. Bree and I had never met. We met a couple of days before we started shooting, and Destin masterminded this very kind of subtle and effortless way of getting us to get to know each other and create some history for the characters. We went to dinner, and Destin dropped off an envelope at my apartment, and I took it to dinner, and we opened it, and there was a really lovely note from Destin saying, "Welcome aboard, we're so happy to have you. I don't know if this is going to be helpful or not, maybe it will, maybe it won't, but open this other envelope, and here's some conversation starters to get you going."
I love scavenger hunts.
That was great. And so we opened up this envelope, and there are these little, strips of paper with these, conversation starters and these topics, and some of them would be very philosophical, talk about your favorite childhood memory, one of your happiest childhood memories, what are your hopes and fears about maybe someday being a parent, and then some of them were more logistical about the characters, like, how do you think Grace and Mason started dating, and then we figure out, like, well, I think I probably, your bike got a flat tire, and I probably drove you home one day from the facility.
Don't give it away.
And no, I'm going to tell them everything. So it starts like this. A young guy with a beard. Goes and gets a job.
Let them have their own mythology, please.
And then so that we
They can have their own dinner. Des, you should give them all conversation starters. They can start talking.
We're sending you all on dates.
New interactive movie version.
Yeah. And by the end of the dinner, we had just created all this, rich backstory and also gotten to know each other, as individuals. And that was something that we took into the filming process, and it was like that. We had that backbone throughout the rest of the process.
So Bree, add on to that is how you got involved, or your first reading of the script, and how you reacted to it, and your interest and or fear of it.
That's very insightful of you. I was sent the script while I was actually in the presence of Caitlin. We were in Athens, Georgia, working on another project, and it was sent to me, and it was a combination of feeling so deeply moved and so strongly pulled in a direction that I wasn't Grace, but I knew who that was, and I felt very strongly that I was the one to do it. It was this abstract concept that suddenly seemed very clear to me, but I had an intense fear that I was extremely underqualified for this job, mostly because I had never done anything like it before, and I was unsure if Destin was somebody that needed to see past material to show, oh yes, this has been captured on film as this before, and I understand that she can do it. I personally thought it might be a selling point that I hadn't done it, but I didn't know. And so in my fervor of fear, I applied for about 3 volunteer jobs in Georgia to work with at-risk youth, and watched the films while I was doing laundry at the laundromat, and we popped up on the screen, and I felt at first that I was supposed to have this need to explain to him all these things, and I told him about I volunteered for this thing. I didn't explain to him that I had been rejected from all 3 volunteer jobs, but I did apply, and that was impressive at the time. And it was so funny. It's funny now looking back on it, because I was so scared. I was so afraid of it, and And I was so fearful that, here is this person who's written this incredibly masterful script, and here he is, up here with these beautiful lights, and the Skype call, it kind of rings, and you sit there and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're the reflection of the computer screen going is this okay, is this okay? And then his side pops up, and your room was very messy.